We're back. We had to cut the internet off because we're getting all these tiny little signals and no real signals. But we're back. This is 4G coming at you on an iPhone 7.
At Bird Park.
Yeah, I feel like I could be a spokesperson for Verizon right now. Thanks for hanging out with us. We deleted the last one. It never even happened. It's the way the internet works.
Hey, Molly.
Molly, how you doing? I don't know how fast the whole thing pops up with them knowing, plus typing, plus our ability to respond.
It's all good.
We are talking today about this fun little thing called compassion. I don't know if anybody really thinks about this too much, but it's a really awesome lesson. Is that what you call something like this, where you think about these things?
Yeah, could be. It's an action, having compassion for someone or being a compassionate person. Describing oneself.
Yeah, it's something that comes along with the ability to learn how to slow down is something I have learned. I think that it starts to become a nice little outlook that you have on life, the ability to empathize with others, and it's not easy at all. Whether it's relationships, business, life, whatever it is, the ability to step away from kind of your own ego and put yourself in other people's shoes, it's not really the easiest thing to do in the world. But when we slow down and we start to not be driven by the ego, something that starts to come to you, and you start to be able to recognize these patterns in other people, recognize your own patterns. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very hard skill. So there's a meditation that I was doing for a little while called a compassion meditation, because I was struggling with having compassion for myself, not being easy on myself, and every little thing I did, I'd belittle. And so my guru gave me a compassion meditation, and it was very awesome, because what it did was it made me do what we did last week, was the gratitude. Go over what I was grateful for about myself. That means what I have versus what I don't have. Being thankful for, and being able to look at myself as, just I'm fine the way I am. I'm good the way I am. I don't need to change anything. If I want to change, it's fine, but be okay with who I am. So that meditation was about 20 minutes long, a pretty long one, but it was very focused on the breath and being close to your center. So one of the things I learned through this compassion, building compassion for myself, was I need to, when I'm close to home, which is my heart, when I'm close to home and stay there, I am much easier on myself. When I start to get away from that home and take in what other people think about me, or take in the struggles of business or life, or remember something that someone said to me years ago, it starts to take me further, and I start to believe those things. It takes me further away from my home, and that's when I start to have lack of compassion for myself. So the closer you are to your center and staying true to you, the more compassion you'll be able to build. The further away you get from yourself, like comparing yourself to others, diving into your ego, always trying to please other people, that's when you get further away from that ability to build that skill.
Yeah, I think the big thing that comes up for me when I talk about or think about or work with people on a lot of this breathwork stuff in talking about compassion is just comes down to the way that I take people in that my assumption is just that they're giving 100%. And maybe that leaves me a little more vulnerable to being let down. But I just assume that everybody around me wants the same things that I want, and we're all working in the same direction, and they're all stretched as thin as I am. And it gives me a little bit of pause instead of losing my mind. But it gives me at least just like a second to say, like, I know they're giving 100%. I know that we're all like in this thing together, this life thing, whether it's business, my home life, but just the assumption and taking people at their face value as them being present and being 100%, whether they are or not, it at least shapes the way that I perceive situations. And yeah, that totally burns you sometimes, but I think in the long run you end up winning more by giving people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, this could just be you on the way to work, driving in traffic, and someone cuts you off, and your assumption is that you're going to flip them off and start beeping on the horn, but you don't know if that person's headed to a hospital. You don't know if that person's, like, there's so many things that could be going on, and just taking a second to say, maybe that action wasn't directly intended to ruin my day, but
Yeah.
it gives you just a brief second to take in whatever action it is, and the assumption that everyone is doing their best, I think, is the big thing that I have learned or try to instill in myself when it comes to that word, compassion.
Doing the best with what they got.
Yeah.
Oh.
Talking more on the quantitative side, I guess there isn't really such a thing when it comes to how relaxed are you, but we're going to be doing a little breath moving today. So when you think about breath moving, we've got our 10-minute little segment thing that we're going to do here, but the piece that we want to think about, we're going to first start off, same thing that we always do, just slowing the body down, slowing the breath down, getting into that 5-6 breaths a minute, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, slowing our body down, and then moving into a little bit of the restricted breathing stuff that we did last week. And then the layer that we want to add on to this is breath moving. So we're going to be, oh look, Neil Patrick's hanging out. He wants to hang out with us.
Hey, Neil.
Neil's getting in shape. He was telling me about it this weekend. He's going on a diet plan.
You look good, Neil.
Yeah, I saw his abs on the internet the other day. It was incredible. It was so sexy. Good work, Neil. He's the craziest person I'm friends with, I think.
It's pretty cool.
And what we're going to think about once we kind of get through that restricted breathing piece is maintaining these 6-second breaths. But even if just for visualization piece, we did some of the body scanning in the past. But as you breathe in, we want to think about breathing kind of into the top of our brain here. And then on the out breaths, nice and slow, just visualizing, like you can almost think about it as like a full down regulation. So the air is just breathing through your spine until we get all the way to your tailbone, and then we come back up. So we're getting this like flowing movement of breath, body, awareness, all these pieces that kind of go into slowing down, using our breath to kind of hit points in our body. All of these being just ways that we can start to change our nervous system around, downregulate, get into that parasympathetic state, and just work on the balance that our crazy ass lives don't really allow. Got anything?
Nope, that was all good.
Right on.
I'm ready to
Let's do it.
breathe.
Close your eyes. Sit down. Back away from your office, chair, whatever it is. We're going to turn this clock on. I think last week we meditated with like 4,000 people.
We did.
We'll see
Across
how
the
it
nation.
goes.
World. Across the world.
Yeah, we're worldly breathers. If you're on here, especially you, Neil Patrick, you're a worldly breather. I've seen you breathe heavy before, usually in fitness.
Alright.
Molly, you better be joining us here
20
now that we know you're on the
seconds.
product. If you haven't seen Molly's Facebook Live from last week, you need to do that.
Yes. Alright, you guys, let's do this.
5
Get in a
people
good
hanging out. Look at
spot.
this.
Get in a good spot. Nice and straight spine. Focus on the rise and fall of the diaphragm. Alright. Hey Nathan.
What's up, bud?
I was thinking, this is what popped up when I was meditating, and I had to breathe it away, but setting an intention for the day. So one thing I like to do with my breath work is set a dedication in the beginning for what it is, for who it's for, and then an intention at the end. So I can share my intention for the day. My intention for the day is to be present with whatever's in front of me, whether it's my son, you guys, patient I have later, project I have to work on, just to be fully present. But that means no phone distracting me, no phone calls, just focused in the present. That's my intent for the day, because that'll help me stay in this calm state, and I need that today. What about you?
Wisdom, compassion. It's a good one. I like it's very hard sometimes to keep all of this in mind and dedicate a little bit of time to your day to working on these things. So if you're here with us, we appreciate it. We know that this stuff's challenging, and see you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Think of a dedication for next week's one. We'll
Yeah.
start doing that.
Ah!
Bye, you guys.
Later.